Hello and welcome everyone to the newest and latest Integration Quest MuleSoft study group. I say that to everyone that's here live. If you're watching this in the archives, it may not be the newest, but you're still here and we're glad to have you. Thank you for joining us. Today we've got Diane. She's going to be in just not necessarily instructing, but taking us through and making sure that our credentials are secured. I know I'm guilty of it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what she's got today. I've already took a peek at the presentation and it looks great. So glad to have you all here. I'm going to go over a couple of things before I turn it over to her, as I always do. Just everybody's been doing awesome with this. If your mom and dad would have said to not say it or do it, then please don't do it. And everybody's been doing great. So we'll just keep on with that great track record. I was just, again, checking on the YouTube Integration Quest library or in library and finding out that more people are joining over there. I'm glad to see that. Glad to see some new subscribers in there, and check it out. If you haven't seen this yet, these two links can take you to the Integration Quest study group. It is specifically for this study group, and we have a lot of archived videos on there. Great resource and a lot of really good information. So go over there and check it out and subscribe if you haven't already. So like I said, today we have Diane here today. She's got all of this experience and all of this just knowledge, but not just about that. I hear Spec barking in the background. See, we're laid back here. Spec wanted to join in. That's okay. Not just about this knowledge, not just about the experience that she's got, though. It's the fact that she's willing to share it with us. And we really appreciate that. We appreciate that she's willing to come here and present today and go over what she's going to be going over. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let her do that. And I'm going to be learning with you all. As always, I will keep an eye on the chat. So if anybody has any questions, then please put them in the chat, because like I just said, when you heard that Spec bark, he was joining in, you know, we're laid back here. So if you have a question, it's much better to just go ahead and ask it while it's on your mind. That way you don't forget it. So pop them in the chat and I'll keep an eye on it for you. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right.
Thank y'all. Good. Well, thank you, RJ. I appreciate that. And yeah, no better way than to, really have the opportunity to give back. When I first started MuleSoft, or really any technology that I first started in on, a lot of people helped me, because sometimes it is, the element of, just really asking those silly questions. That's okay to ask those silly questions, because if you're stuck on a silly question and a simple answer, or maybe it's a more complex answer, then you realize, that's going to help you grow further. So anyway, our topic today is about secure properties. And, the idea behind it is, let me ask you, put the answer in the chat. How many of you have ever hard-coded a password in your code? Go ahead, fess up. Come on, it's okay. Did you? Say yes. I'll type yes. Like I was testing something. Sure, I did. Trying to debug. Yeah. There's times we do, and we don't realize that, however, what if that gets pushed to Git? And then, oops, it ends up in production, or even worse, exposed. So that is not good, right? So we want to make sure that we are managing things more secure. So today, our mission is to fix that. We're going to be talking about what MuleSoft has available for our secured properties. And it's not optional. It's architectural. We really want to make sure we're on purpose with this, because that little fellow over there on the right-hand side, there's bad actors out there. No question. So what are the breaches? We've got, the average cost of a data breach is in the millions, millions. 80% are relevant to credentials. So, just think about 19 seconds just already passed. That's how often a cyber attack occurs globally. So it's for real. It's for real. And the credentials are the number one attack vector. So in our roles as developers, we need to stay on top of this and do everything we can to make sure that they are encrypted. Now, when you're just starting off in MuleSoft and you are getting rolling, you basically learn how to code, how to develop, the fundamentals that we teach you all, and, professional integration with MuleSoft course. Even we do put those passwords in plain text because you're learning. Shame on us. This is a level 2 type of thing, but I think it's very important that we address it and we have it, really more at the forefront of our mind. And so you're going to see us go through this. I'm prepared for you to be hands-on keyboard today. So if you want to follow along with me, come on. We may use the full hour and a half, or even a little more. I don't know. I won't be troubleshooting, so bear with me if you do get a roadblock. Those of you watching the recording, if you get stuck on something, put a comment in the chat, or put a comment in down below the video, and we'll be glad to get with you to help you out. So our agenda today is to set up a new Anypoint platform account and a Salesforce account. And then I've got a jar file for you to import. I've already got part of it built out. And then we're going to go hands-on keyboard to do the secure properties tool. We're going to encrypt our credentials. And then we're going to deploy that application to CloudHub. We're going to deploy it locally, and then we're going to deploy it to CloudHub. So this is truly a hands-on study group. So you guys are getting it firsthand. So let's go ahead. I'm going to shift focus here, and let me grab. I'm going to create a new account too, because I'm actually testing out something for a workshop. So let's go to anypoint.mulesoft.com. Oh, I'm already logged in. Look at that. Let me sign out of that one. All right. So hands-on keyboard, folks. Those of you that are, joining in with this, let's roll. You should have anypoint.mulesoft.com. We'll sign up for a new account. I'll just go through this quickly. I will say I'm CEO. Haha. And just run through this really quick. And then we'll have a brand spanking new account. And the reason I'm having you do this, those of you watching the recording or in person, is because I'm back in 2 weeks to do another step after this. So let's see. We'll call this study group company. And we're going to say we got a bunch of employees. We'll call it education. All right. So once you have your account done, there we go. Oops, I guess I better spell right. Okay, so this one should be done. Let me copy this. And I normally put a date on a lot of my trial accounts so that I remember when it's going to expire. Let me put this over here also so I have it in a note. New note here. All right. Thought it did verify it. Okay, so we have our Anypoint platform account. So that's good. Again, have your credentials handy. We will need them to get the secured tool. And then we're going to deploy it to CloudHub at the end as well. Okay. Okay, so that's done. Next tab is the Salesforce org. And here we go. This one's a little harder to find these days, FYI, because if you go to the previous link we've all gone to before, you can't find it as easily. All right, so I'm going to put this one in the chat. Let's get you a Salesforce org because we want to work with some credentials, right? So you're going to have some credentials there. And so sign up for your developer org. It is finding my previous account here. Let me put in one here that but you should have a window like you're seeing on the right over here that kind of gives you an indication that, you're on the right page, because you can sign up for some free Salesforce orgs that are not developer editions. So you really need to have the elevated credentials for the Salesforce ones. Okay. All right. I'm going to go off camera, mostly to save on bandwidth. So if you, I'm here, I'm not a bot. All right. So I'm going to do sign me up here. All right. Now that's good. If it doesn't tell you, it may say something about resetting your password. That means you might have already used that email before. So on another screen, I'm going to hop over to that account and grab my Salesforce info. Let me get into that account and I'll show you a couple things here. All right, come on now. Let's check spam. It's not showing in spam. So if you don't see it, all right, I should say, if you don't see it in your regular account, check your spam. And mine is still loading. So because what we're going to do, we're setting this up so that you've got an Anypoint Platform account, because you'll need that to get the Secure Properties tool. And then also you'll want to have an Anypoint Platform account as well. And it's taken a few minutes to load, so I'm going to let that load while we're going through this and come back to, go ahead and close that down.
It's because we hit it all at once.
Probably. That does happen. It happens sometimes in a class. It's kind of funny.
For sure. You did say if you get the reset password to go ahead and do that or use a different email.
I would do a different email. I mean, you could use an existing Salesforce account. In this case, it's not a problem. I just want to make sure you're on a developer account.
Right.
That's a big thing. Sometimes people will get out there and, request an account, and then guess what? It's just like a sales org type of thing. It's not truly a developer org. So you'll get this information here. So what you want to do at first is you want to copy the username that it has given you. Okay, so copy that username and put that in like a little notepad. I've got a notepad going over here. Okay. And then we're going to reset the password. So go ahead and click on the reset password. And go ahead and put in a password, that works for you. Okay, once you have that done, again, track your password. You'd be surprised how many times in a class that we're doing, people are like, what's my password? And that was like 3 days ago. It's like, we put it in a notepad. You go find your notepad. I don't remember what your password was. All right. So give me a yes in the chat or a wait in the chat if you need me to wait for a minute. Either yes, meaning go, or wait. All right. If you are just watching, give me a yes. That way, hey, Suma. Hey, Philip. Awesome. See some friendly faces out there. Say friendly names, I should say. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, Diane. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So no one gave me a wait, so I'm going to keep going. All right. So now we need to go get our token. There is the security token. So we're going to go hit our token here. So the way to do that, you're in your developer edition. It even looks different. There's all kind of additional advertisement here and such. So in the upper right, we're going to click on the Cody emoji in the far right. And then we're going to drop down into settings. Okay, drop down into settings. And now this is going to bring you into where you see your personal information of your settings. On the left-hand side, right below personal information is reset my security token. Now, you're really not resetting it. You haven't gotten one yet. So we're going to click on that, reset my security token, and then click on the button to reset it. And it will email your security token to you. And that's one of the credentials we need as well. So we're going to encrypt our password and our security token. Okay, so that's why we're doing that. And then if you look at your email, it should have sent that to you. And voila, copy your security token. Okay, and put that in your notepad. All right. So we have our credentials for Salesforce, and we have our new Anypoint platform account. And so everything is good there. We can check that off our list. Now we're ready to import our example Mule flow. I've already created this to the point of where we're going to do the encryption. So this part of it will be, let me locate my window. I've got this somewhere. Is it this window? No. One second, folks. Isn't that pretty? I thought it was the Florida Keys at first, but nope, it's actually Japan. So, who knew? All right, let me do the share again here real quick. 1 second. And there's that, and share. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to copy a link here, and this should be good for anybody. Okay, so coming in the chat is the link for this jar file. Now, what's going to happen is going to look like this. When you get this, let me open an incognito browser because it's going to automatically log me in. So yours is going to look like this when you go there. Okay, and it's going to have the jar file. So just go ahead and download that jar file. But watch what's going to happen. When you click download, it's going to say, oh, you got to sign up. No, you don't. Look at the bottom, go down to where it says, or continue with download only. Okay, so do that. All right, so click on that, and then you can download it to your system. And then when you've got it, I want you to put a message in the chat that you got it. When you got it, you got it. There you go. Studio. I'm using version 7.24. Okay. 7.24. So once you've got it downloaded, we are not unzipping it. You're going to leave it, it's a jar file. So you're going to leave it just like that. Okay. Anybody need me to wait? Type wait if you want me to wait. All right, here we go. So we're going to come up here and we're going to import a project. Okay, if you've got other projects in Studio, then you come up here to go to File, and you can come down to Import here. All right, so it's going to be a packaged Mule application jar. Go to Next. And then you're going to navigate wherever you downloaded it to. Okay, and then open it. And then finish. Okay, so it's a simple application that I created. Simple flow. It already has a, let me see. Now let me think of another word to say since I know you got it in the Studio. Send me Mule app. That way I know it's in Studio. Mule app. That's our communication. We're in code here. Because you're going to build this out further. Okay. If you've got it imported into Studio, send me Mule app in the chat. Mule app. Good. All right. I'm just checking on the pace. Because nothing worse than when you're trying to do something and then the instructor goes way beyond where you're at. And then you're lost. So I'm trying to keep everybody together. And then that helps with the video too, because then it kind of gives me an idea of the pace, you know, for everyone else too. All right. Cool. Next step is let's take a look at what we have here. So we have a main flow, and that is just a simple flow of an HTTP listener querying Salesforce and then transforming it to JSON. That's all it is. Okay. Very simple. The query on this for Salesforce is just going and getting the accounts. That's all. Yeah, we can do a ton of other things here. The focus on this mission is encrypting, right? So this is fine for right now. And then what we also want, and this transforms the data coming from the query into JSON. And yeah, we've not logged in, or we've not given our credentials yet. So the next thing we're going to look at is our global XML here. Oops. So in the global, we have some global elements already created. Our Salesforce config, go ahead and click on that. We have property placeholders here. Okay, property placeholders. So we're going to see the config.yaml file that has these values, or at least doesn't have the values yet until you fill them out. So right now we're seeing, you know, the property placeholders. So you can close that. The configuration properties is pointing to the config.yaml file. So that's already been done for you. So we're going to go to source main resources in our file structure here and open up the config.yaml file. Now notice that we need to add our Salesforce information here. So get your notepad and you're going to copy and paste your username, password. We're doing it plain text first. Yes, I know. Okay, plain text first. Paste in your username, password, and security token. And then we'll save it. And then we'll test it. We'll see if we can reach into our Salesforce org. Okay, so save all of that. There might be something we need to do on the Salesforce orgs. We're going to find out here. Let's go back to once you have got your username, password, and token saved, then go back to global and go to your Salesforce config, and let's test the connection. Okay, as I thought. All right, there's a new thing that's happening in the orgs, by the way. So let's go back to your Salesforce org. Let me grab mine real quick. Back to your Salesforce org. Come on, where are you? I get too many windows open over here, and then you got to hunt them down. Almost there. All right. Okay. So in Salesforce, like I said, this has kind of been a newer thing. If you've hit this wall, we found out about it through instructing, is to go to setup in your Salesforce org. Go to setup. Click on setup. And then we want to, in the quick find on the left, click find on the left, go to user interface. So we're going to come down to user interface. User interface. Oops. User interface. And then there's another user interface label at the bottom of that. Notice it all the way down at the bottom. So click user and then go to the user interface sub tab on that. And you should come to a screen that looks like this. Okay. And if you scroll down, you will find that, yeah, for sure. You'll find that the Enable SOAP API login is unchecked. Okay, so click that. Enable SOAP API login, click that, and then scroll to the bottom of the page and save it. Okay, Enable SOAP API plugin or login. What's it called? There it is, login. Okay. So that will, the should take care of this. So now we're going to go back into Studio and we'll test this connection again. The other important thing to know is the authorization URL is different. Okay. If you use the default authorization URL, it will not work. Notice the basic authentication says supported only till version 64. That's another thing I had to learn. Aren't you glad I did this in advance and we don't have to troubleshoot it now? So in the, make sure if you create your own that this has got the version 64 on it. So you should have gotten a successful test. Okay, if you did, say, yay. We're going to keep this spicy. Yay, your test worked. Okay. Yay, good. I see that. Very good. Okay, so again, anyone, you know, if you're not able to get logged in, that's a result of the setting not being under setup, under user interface. Nay, Suma. Oh no, what happened?
I'm still getting the test connection failed.
Okay.
Error.
All right. You won't need it until we're doing the testing at the end. So we can kind of go forward a little bit with it anyway, but I'll circle back with you later. Like I said, we won't have a lot of time to troubleshoot. Okay. Francis, do you have some input?
No, I'm okay. I just logged back in.
Okay. So Suma, the one thing to check is make sure you have, this should exist in the download of the jar file, this URL here, the authorization URL. But if you created this on your own, then maybe not. But under, you know, all we did in here was enable that SOAP API login.
Yes, I did that. I have saved.
Okay. Not sure why it's not behaving. What version of Studio are you in?
Good question. I think 721.
Okay, you may not need to have this. Remove this.
Okay.
I think that this is a newer Studio thing.
Okay. All right. I will try that. You please continue.
Yeah. All righty. So we'll click on OK here. And like I said, we'll still be able to do the encryption and stuff anyway. Now, our next thing that we need to do is to download and use the Secure Properties tool. Okay, download and use the Secure Properties tool. So to do that, what we'll do, first of all, we've got to add our credentials to Studio. There's many ways to do that. Probably one of the easier ways is to right-click on the name of your project, come down to Anypoint Platform, and configure your credentials. Okay. And here you're going to add a credential. If your login doesn't populate, try moving your window out and about. Sometimes that will bring it in. You're hearing a lot of tips from an instructor who's actually had to fight some of these battles. So if you happen to have come across that one was happening on some people's computer. It's pretty interesting. So let's put our username and password in here for Anypoint Platform. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and get sign in. and then apply and close. Now, what that just is going to do is it's going to allow us to access and gain access to assets in Exchange. All right, so click on your main flow here. Click on main flow. And then in our palette in the upper right, we're going to be able to see where we can go and search in Exchange. All right, so this is where we're headed next. So we're going to go and let me grab this real quick. Here we go. Okay, so, oh, forgot to tell you about that. I'll come back to that. Hold on. We're going to search in Exchange for the Secure Properties Tool jar file. All right, so this is what we want to do. So I'll tell you about that other slide in just a minute. We're using the Secure Properties tool inside of Studio. So that's kind of the difference. And there are some other tools you can use, but this is kind of going to bring it all into here. So in search in Exchange, in the upper right in the palette, search in Exchange, and we're going to start typing in the search box, Secure Properties tool. If I can spell right. Okay, and it should come up, maybe not tool, just Secure Properties. There you go. Okay, it's this one here called Mule Secure Configuration Property Extension. Okay, Mule Secure Configuration Property Extension. Go ahead and click on Add and click on Finish. Okay, so this brings the secure properties here into Studio. So now we have that. So our mission here is to, we've got it into Studio, but now we want to go ahead and get the actual tool. Sorry, my mistake. We need to do that directly from the docs.mulesoft.com. So that is actually coming from here. Let me grab the URL. So we will get this tool from the docs. Okay. So go to docs.mulesoft.com, use that URL in the chat. And if you'll find all kind of information about secure configuration properties, and we're going to scroll down to the tool. Okay, so you can encrypt an entire file, or you can encrypt certain fields of that. Yes, Francis, yes. So we're going to work within Studio to work a little differently. So that's the slide I skipped over, Francis. It's like, wait, I'll surprise you in just a minute. But we're going to come down to the Secure Properties tool here. And you can see if you click on the link that is right here, under the encrypt properties using the Secure Properties tool. And then you will see that it's trying to and wanting to download this Secure Properties tool. Okay. And then it will exist on your computer. In my case, in my download folder. Okay. And so what we'll do is we're going to drop this jar file into our source main resources folder. Okay. And the way to do that is open up your source main resources folder. Make sure you see which one it is. We're going to click on the Secure Properties tool jar file and drag it and place it over top of the source main resources folder and release it. And you'll get a window that says, what do you want to do? We want to copy the files there. Okay, copy the file. And now it will appear here in our source main resources. Okay, because we have a config.yaml file here. Now, in most cases, you know, ours is very short. So we only have really two passwords, you know, a password and a token that we want to encrypt. But what if, in some cases, we have a lot of information in our config.yaml file, and we want to go ahead and be just easier in some cases, maybe instead of 1 or 2 fields, to go ahead and do the whole thing, do the whole file, and then figure out which ones you want to consider for encrypting. But like Francis said, you can do, where you can generate using the secure properties generator here. When we teach level 2 classes, though, we do it this method. I'm showing you the method that we customarily use to show it in Studio. But this is also very helpful because you can also just do the key and the value, just do the value here. And it's a lot quicker. But when you look at the docs.mulesoft.com, you can see that you can, do various approaches to what you want to encrypt. So now that we have it here in our source main resources, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take and start off with a command prompt in that resource folder. I'll show you how to get there. And we're going to turn that into either, if you're on a Mac, it'll be a terminal. If you're on a Windows, it's going to be the command prompt. And we're going to give it this Java command. And then what it's going to do in our case, because of what we've given it in the instruction in the Java command, it's going to create this new secure-properties.yaml file. Okay. And this is our secret key. I've, went ahead and give everyone the same secret key. You can change the secret key if you want. Just make sure you keep up with it. But what's happening here is we are going to, like I said, navigate to that folder and run that encryption tool directly in Studio in that folder where we have placed this. We have told it to do the file encrypt. Again, you could do field encrypt. You could do different things. What we're following through with is what we're, working with together. So the entire file is going to be encrypted, not the key, just the values. We're using Blowfish CBC. That's the encryption method that we're using. And this is our encryption key, secret key 2026. Okay. And again, that would change. That would be whatever you want to have for your encryption key. That is the high valued key that you've got to keep safe. Otherwise, everything you're doing is going to be undone. Okay. So, and in our case, then we're going to tell it to, the file I want you to encrypt is config.yaml. And then I want you to turn around and create a new file called secure-properties.yaml. Okay, so it's going to create a new file for us. All right, so let's do this. So we're going to give it, it's going to look like this when we get into that folder, and we're going to give it the command. I'm going to put it in the chat for you. And that command is going to have the original file and encrypt it. And then you start to see the syntax of an encrypted value here. Okay, exclamation, square bracket, that is the encrypted value of port 8081. And likewise, it's going to encrypt everything here. Okay, so some of these values don't need to be encrypted, and I'll show you what we're going to do about that. So let's go into Studio. And if you click on Source Main Resources folder and right click on it and come down to Open or Show in a System Explorer, okay, it opens up that window where it resides, and click into the Resources folder. And there you should see your Secure Properties tool, right? That should be there. So let me get you the command, or the Java command coming in the chat for you. Okay, so have the command in your clipboard. And if you're on a Windows, this will work. If you're on a Mac, you're going to have to do the terminal window, so whatever is going to work for you. If you're in Windows, here's a shortcut. You can click on the pathway at the top. Type in the letter CMD for command, CMD, and hit enter, and it'll open up a command prompt for you. And then just right click in that command prompt window. It should paste your Java command, and then hit enter. It should come back with just the file pathway. And that means it did work correctly. And then what we want to do is refresh Studio so we can minimize that command prompt, make sure everything worked. Come over here and refresh the project. And now notice you should have a secure-properties.yaml file here. Directly in here. Assuming you've got an open mic. You didn't sigh, though. That's a good thing. Sometimes somebody, I'll catch them with an open mic and they're, so you're good. Did you get it to work, Suma?
No,
Oh,
Diane.
we'll look at it later. And then we'll post the results to let you know for troubleshooting's sake. All right, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. So let's see. Okay, so we've got config.yaml already open. Let's go ahead and open up the new secure-properties.yaml. Go ahead and open that. And then I want you to move these windows side by side. So watch my screen if you've never done this before. Click on the tab, secure-properties.yaml. Click on and then start dragging it to the right and down a little bit. It should put them side by side like this and release it. So on the left, we've got the config.yaml file. On the right, we've got the secure-properties.yaml, and it's encrypted. Our values now are encrypted. But as I said, our HTTP port, that doesn't have to be encrypted. So let's delete that off. Okay. And our username, that doesn't need to be encrypted either. Okay, so we'll remove that. Unless you wanted to encrypt your username, that's up to you. But our password and our token, now that matters. And like I said, the beauty of using the tool this way is if you had a large config file, then you don't have to try to navigate all of these and have maybe a space or something unusual. It just kind of is a clean way to do this. And then over here on the left in the config.yaml file, we want to delete the password and the token, our plain text items there. And then we're going to save it. Okay, so now you have config.yaml on the left, which is going to have any values that can, are fine for them to be in plain text. And then on the right, you've got your secure properties that are encrypted. Okay, and now the only thing that has our encryption key is this command prompt. Okay, so it does have it in it. Close that down. Now the encryption key is nowhere inside of Studio. Everybody agree? The encryption key is nowhere here. These are our config files. These are our values. There's no encryption key found anywhere. All right, so now we need to configure how to access and use these values. Yay, we did this. We got that done. Now we're going to, we already did this. That was the part I did we did earlier. We got that secure configuration properties added already. And this is going to allow us to create a global element to point to the secure properties YAML file. Very much like we do with a normal config.yaml. We say, here's where my configuration properties are in the config.yaml. And now we're saying, here's where my secure configuration properties are. And I'm also going to provide a property placeholder for the encryption key. I am not going to put the value of that encryption key in Studio. Then we're going to add the algorithm and the mode. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. This one's we've already done, so that's already done. We're going to do this one, and then we're going to create a global element, a global property for that encryption key with a fake value. We're not going to put the real value in there. It's going to be a fake value, and that way we'll be able to add it in from Runtime Manager as a value. Okay, so let's go back into Studio. And we can go ahead and close these two config.yaml files. And we want to, let me think, go to global. And in global elements, we want to go ahead and click on create. And we want to go ahead and type in secure. There's the secure properties config. Open that up and voila, we see that it wants to know where that file is. You can navigate to it if you want. The 3 dots, navigate to the file. Come on. All right, it's not going to find it. We're going to have to type it. All right, so it's going to be our secure-properties.yaml. Okay, and then we're going to do a property placeholder here. So it's going to be the $ curly bracket encrypt key. Okay, encrypt key camel case. So I'll put this one in the chat for you. Encrypt key, secure properties YAML. That would be the name of your file. So you've got that. Our algorithm is going to be Blowfish, and then by default we're using the default that just is the CBC. All right. So again, we have our secure-properties.yaml. We've got our encryption key as a property placeholder, and then we have our algorithms here. And we'll go ahead and click on OK. And then we'll save it. All right. And then we're going to add another global configuration here. I'm going to add another global configuration. Global property. And this one is going to be that encrypt key. Okay. Just the key name, encrypt key, and we're going to put fake value here. All right, not the real deal. That won't work. It's not going to encrypt it. So make sure you spell encrypt correctly. It looks wrong. Yeah, mine's misspelled. Encrypt key. Mine would have not worked. Huh. Okay. So by having this global element of the property placeholder like that, like I said, we'll be able to provide some information for that encryption key to come in, and it kind of satisfies our values across the board. Let's save this. Now, another thing we need to do as well, let me grab this. So we've completed this. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to need to let the mechanisms know that the password and the token are secure properties. They're going to be in the secure property folder. So to do that, notice this precursor secure : See that? Under the password and the security token, secure : All right. And then we're ready to run it. We're ready to test it. And so what we will need to do locally when we're running this is we're going to locally add a runtime argument for our particular run that we are doing within Studio. So we're going to send that in as a runtime argument with the encrypt key as a secret key here. Okay. And that is actually wrong. It needs to be without that period there. Hang on. Let me fix that or I will forget. Voila. Look at that. So what you're seeing here, see where this, M and D, those are all part of the syntax for Maven and for the argument. Yeah, the D has some meaning as well. But anyway, encrypt key is the name of our variable, right? And then there is our secret key that we created and encrypted everything in. So we're passing this in as a VM argument outside of our Mule app. It does not exist in our code. We've proved that. Okay, so we're going to do this. So let's go fix our Salesforce config, and then we'll go ahead and do the runtime arguments also. And Suma, all of this should work even if your Salesforce, well, I shouldn't say that. It may not. We'll have to look and see. So Salesforce config, show the password, and we're going to add secure : in front of the password and, well, inside of the curly braces, and then secure : for the Salesforce token. Okay, so we just told the Mule runtime that this is where you're going to find those encrypted values. Okay, we don't do that for the username because the username is actually going to be pointing to or looking for those values in config.yaml. All right, so let's click on OK here. And we're ready to run this. Okay. And we'll run it without that argument first. All right, so let's just run it without adding that argument I told you about. In the meantime, I'm going to go get that argument, and I will put that in the chat for you. It will fail, as expected. It's always nice when it fails and you plan for it to fail, right? Instead of those failures when it's like, wait a minute, why did that just fail? No. Okay, it's probably trying to figure it out. Coming in the chat is going to be the argument with our key. So in the real world, while this is cooking, in the real world, what's happening is realistically that key would be coming from a key vault. Okay, it wouldn't be being passed in like this. It would be extracted from a secrets vault or a key vault somewhere. Okay, so that would be, you know, what you would see. I don't know why mine's taking so long. It might be trying to figure it out. Did anyone's come back failed? Anyone who's doing hands-on keyboard, has yours failed? It should. Put in the chat if yours failed. That's what we're looking for, a fail. And mine is stuck. I don't know why mine is stuck. Come on. Let me see. I'll see if I can try it again. It might have a fatal crash. Let me do a restart.
Hostile said he is stuck as well, and Suma is failed for a different reason.
Ah,
yeah,
interesting.
I wonder if it's failing, and that's just how it's going to show up as a fail.
Yeah, it should have come back with a fail, like, you know, but at any rate, I don't know. This is a, you know, I'm still learning the new version of this 7.24. It's got some different things that it does. So once recovered, we will come back in here and we'll add the argument. Maybe that'll make it happy.
Yeah, that may be what it needs, huh?
Yeah. And this is even taking a few minutes. So what we're going to deploy this to Cloud Hub also. Okay. 4.11. So what version of Studio are you using, Batzel? Huh. Yeah, it's your run. Same with you, Suma. Yeah. You might want to try downloading and running it off of 7.24 and see how that does. All right, so let's see. This is relaunch. Studio's relaunching. Yes. By the way, 7.23 had some problems associated with it. So don't even fool with 2.3. Go to 7.24 because they've resolved those issues. All right. So let's let it come back up. It should not take very long because it's a tiny, tiny program or application. All right, let's give it the argument, just to keep peace with our Mule. So to do that, we're going to add a runtime argument. To do that, we're going to come up here to the Run tab at the top and come down to Run Configurations. Okay. The run tab at the top, come down to run configurations. And your project should be there. If you have other projects here, make sure you have selected yours. And then there's an arguments tab here. Okay, so click on the arguments tab and you're going to add what I gave you in the chat on a new line. It doesn't have to be on a new line, but just to give you room, add what I gave you in the chat. And we're telling it this is the VM arguments, the encrypt.key, and that is still wrong. Hold on, don't use that. Don't use what I gave you in the argument. I thought I had fixed it, but I didn't fix it in my notes. All right, good thing I spotted that. Let me give you the right one. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay, it should be encryptKey camel case because it's matching what we have in our configuration. Okay, so use that. That is correct. EncryptKey equals secret key 2026, which was our encryption key, our real encryption key. And of course, most of the time that's going to be a very long, random, valued, type of thing there, not just something that makes, very simple like that. All right, so now this is our VM argument. And now we can come down here, click apply, and then go ahead and click run. Okay, and now it should actually deploy if it doesn't get stuck on the 56%. Yeah, mine's rolling past. Okay, so it built. I know it did the build. And then you may want to get either Postman or Advanced REST Client. Oh. Salesforce password. What have you done? There's something that is not right. Oh, my configuration properties. Well, that should have it. Hold on. Well, it wouldn't be fun if we didn't have a boo-boo, Secure-properties.yaml, encryption key. I should be finding it from here. Did yours, chances are yours failed with it as well. So it's looking for the Salesforce password in the config properties file. Let me check something in here. Secure properties, that is there. It is pointing to that one. Configuration property is here, config.yaml. And that one should be doing the same based on secure properties YAML. Should be pulling it. Do I have a typo? Properties.yaml. No, looks right. Well, it's not finding the secured properties. Let me see if I can navigate to it. It didn't want to bring it up before. There it is. All right. Okay. Which is what I had. All right, encrypt key, and that should be in our argument. So it's just not finding the configuration property value for our Salesforce password. Well, because it is, let me make sure I got that right. Oh, look at this. This is exactly, I don't know if some of you had this experience before. This, we did this and I added secure. You saw me do it. And I said, okay, and saved it, but it did not retain it. And this is exactly what we were talking about with one of the other senior instructors, that this is happening sometimes. Configurations are not sticking. Okay, so on the password, I'm going to do secure, : Salesforce password, and do the other one, secure, : and I'm going to say, okay. I guess when it froze, it might have lost that. So check your password and token, save it. Okay, save it. And then, oh, it's redeploying. We'll see. Mine did redeploy because I saved that configuration. So let me try it. I'll try to run it. It looks like it was satisfied. If you're not sure and you want to stop it with the terminate over here on the right and rerun it again, mine did deploy. That's how I know successfully. So apparently that's what it was looking for. And your pathway is here, secure prop. So let's get Advanced REST Client open, or Postman, whichever one you want to use. And we'll run this. Okay. To make sure that path, that's why I always label my listeners so you don't have to, what is it? What's it supposed to be? You know, it's right there coming in the chat for you. It's the URL. Send in the request. And you should get data back from Salesforce. That's the big kicker right there. If you got data back from Salesforce, I know some of you have had errors. If we get done before 1:30, we'll bring in those errors and check them out. Okay. But otherwise, I do think it's version related. So this should have worked. Give me a yes, it worked. Or no, it didn't work. Yes or no. Okay. And the next step that we're going to do is stop it from running, and we're going to deploy it to Cloud Hub. So let's click on stop the project. Once you know it's working, right click, come down to any point platform, deploy to Cloud Hub. Okay. So now it will go to Cloud Hub. If we do not add the encryption key, it will fail. Okay, you're going to get an error that says it's going to fail. All right, so we will go ahead and save a little time, and we will add the encryption key. Encrypt key is the key name and the value, but we will protect that value so it's not visibly in plain text here. All right. And this kind of acts as like it uses the Anypoint Platform secrets. It'll secure it. You can't have access to it. You'll see when we go in there to do that. And if anybody wants to have a version of this to deploy, let me get you a deployable archive really quick. And I'll put this in that shared folder as well. So you should be able, oh yeah, you should be able to at least deploy this directly in Runtime Manager. And let me put it in that shared folder. Study group. Okay, and I'm going to call it final. So you know it's the final one. All right, and finish. Okay, so you should be able to go to that shared folder again. It's in the chat if you want to go grab it. RJ, if you want to grab that link of the Dropbox up there, then you should be able to go get a deployable archive.
Yeah, I've got it right here. I've been keeping up with them all. Anybody watching these in the future, the YouTube description will contain all of these links if you all need them.
Perfect. So if you can't deploy from here, you'll have that version. So we're going to go into Sandbox once the window pops up from Studio and you want it to deploy to Cloud Hub. We'll click on Sandbox. And we are going to go ahead and add the property. Okay, so go ahead and click on Properties. And the key, remember, is going to be encryptKey. Or I should say the key name, and the value is going to be your value secret key 2026. Okay, so get your value. And now this is, like I said, plain text until you click the protect. Go ahead and click the protect. This is a newer feature in Cloud Hub 2. Click protect and say, yes, I want to protect that value. And now you cannot see that value. Okay, cannot see it. So now it is truly protected and you can click deploy application. So remember we had that global property called encryptKey. This is part of that association. And now when we go to deploy it, it's using the value we add here, or if we pulled it in a pipeline from a secret vault or something like that, it would pull the value that you need. So we'll click on deploy application. Notice that it is building it in Studio. You'll see the logs down below. It'll build it in Studio. It uploads it into Exchange. Now that's going to be really important for our next mission. We have a next mission we're doing in 2 weeks. And the next mission that we're going to be working on is deploying this same, well, not this same one. This one's not ready. But we're going to deploy an application that has all of the values needed for each environment, dev, test, prod. Okay, so environment specific. So we will be doing that in 2 weeks. We'll go over that. We'll use this same jar file. We'll start with this one and we'll build it out from there. Okay, so if you are following along on the video, get caught up with us. And in 2 weeks, so we have another one next week. Ryan's doing one on the 6th. Isn't he, RJ? Is Ryan on the 6th?
He sure is. Yes, I'll let you know what that is when I come back on screen. Or I can say now. But yeah, he is. And then you'll be back in 2 weeks.
I'll be back on the 13th to do the environment specific functionality of what that looks like within your Mule app. So now we can check on our status. This is one thing I watch for, because oftentimes if you go to the logs are not populating yet. So I go in settings and you can mouse over the view stat or click the view status at the top. And if you mouse over the little green box, you can see the statuses change here. Sometimes it's pretty interesting, like the pod needs to initialize, or, you know, it's got different things that it'll state. So it's kind of interesting to watch that. All right. And once this deploys, everything should work just as it did before. Okay. So green check, that means it started up. We can go to our logs. We can see everything is happy. I also look for this. The HTTP has started. So I look for that. Otherwise, if we had not put in, remember that if we did not put this in, then you would have gotten these error logs said, you know, could not encrypt or decrypt the data. Or if there was something wrong with your encryption key, you would get a message similar to that. Okay, but we did add it. All right. And so now we can test this out in Studio and from Cloud Hub. So we want to go back to our settings, and we can go ahead and click on our endpoint. And at the end of it, just add /secure prop. And there you have your accounts coming from Salesforce. Okay. So there you have it. So your application is now secure. You are using an encryption key, and that encryption key cannot be found anywhere in your code. It would not exist in Git. Not a bit. Okay. It's not there. So that's the big factor here. Now, before you deploy to Cloud Hub or before you deploy to production, you could remove the Secure Properties tool. It's just so handy to have it here. And if you had, trust me, when we add the different environments to this, we're going to have to encrypt each of those different environments and break out the secured values, the passwords, and the tokens and things like that, the security tokens. But anyway, it's just very handy to have it right here. And again, all we did was to launch into that, right click on source main resources. So if you had a password change, source main resources, open in a system explorer or a terminal, and then go into the resources. And this is where, when you see that tool, this is where you want to do CMD. And now you're ready to enter in that Java code. And then it will, or command, and it will encrypt the file that you stated. So we stated in our case, if you remember, in our case, we stated that we wanted it to take the config.yaml file and create the secure properties. Okay. And we could do that for, dev, test, prod that we will do in 2 weeks. Okay. So congratulations. This tells you that hard-coded secrets are not a strategy. They're a breach waiting to happen. Squash that, dude. We need to not have any bad characters. You want to externalize your key, your encryption key, right? Externalize it. It is not part of your code. You want to encrypt and control those, having everything, safely secure. So welcome to Secure by Design. You are now secure. Well done. Congratulations.
That is awesome.
There you go.
Very good. Very good work. I love the last little picture there of squashing the little dude. Thank you, Suma, for helping Batsal with that in the chat. He was helping him and got Batsal going. And awesome. We really appreciate you coming out today and showing that. Like I said, I have all the links and everything. If anybody's watching this in the archived videos, go to this description and you'll have everything that you need. And I'm even going to go back. I was keeping up with the links. I need to go back through the video myself. So that's what it's all for. It's awesome.
Hey, if you want to, RJ, to go ahead and pull the step-by-steps off of this and then put those in the comments, that might be really helpful. Yeah. For someone to be able to pull that, and have it like we did some of those others.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can check that out. Check the description.
That sounds great.
Like we always do, it's question and answer time. If anybody wants to come in and ask questions on all of that you just witnessed and did, now is a good time. And my biggest question, which you answered, was, where would you implement this in real life? And we're doing this through debugging, and we're making sure that we don't, send confidential information over in debugging. So that's where this would be handy.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So what do you think, folks? How did it go? Let me see. Let me drop down here in the chat. Philip's asking, okay, how secure is using the web version? Very secure, Philip. The only thing is you do one key and a value at a time, unless you put in a JSON file. So I've not used the web version as much, but the way we teach it in the level 2 classes is what you saw. And I like that because it's all right there in Studio and you don't have any mistakes as a result of copying and pasting over, right? But on the web version, you could check values. Like if you have an encryption or you're doing an encryption and you need to check a value, you certainly could use that. If you look at that, you can put a key and then generate. You have to put in your encryption, your key, and then the value, and it would generate it. So like in our case, if we did Blowfish and we put in that encryption key and our original value, it should come up. So yeah, it's pretty helpful. There's also another thing too. That's it's another kind of a, I don't know if it's still in use right now anyway, but there was one way you could do it right in the config.yaml file. But now that was I don't know if that's still usable because I've not tried that lately. Yeah. Yes, Suma, thank you. Thank you for the help in troubleshooting too, unless she dropped. I think she dropped. Yeah, there you are. You're still here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And yes, you're very welcome, Sengyong. Appreciate you being here too. We should do that, Suma. We should do an exam level 2 cert prep. Yeah. You know, I helped write that one. But when you help write it, you're only exposed to like 40% of the exam. And do you think I remember? I don't know.
But yeah, it will definitely be helpful, Diane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've started my preparation, but it is kind of going nowhere. So just hearing from you and the team will be helpful for us to prepare.
Yeah. RJ, you can, now it's kind of out there a little bit, Suma, because I've got some travel in March, but RJ, if you want to put that down on the 10th of April, we could do an MCD2, in other words, a level 2 cert prep.
Yeah.
I'll do it on the 10th, Suma. So there you go.
There we
Awesome.
go. April 10th. Put it in your calendar. I'm putting it in mine.
Thank you, Diane.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, and I'll have to try to remember. Do you have the practice exam on that?
No.
Okay, because they quit publishing the practice exam.
They did.
And the practice exam was much easier than the real exam, of course. But I am pretty certain I've got a level 2 practice exam that RJ, we maybe could add to this video. Or, anyone that's interested. But Suma, I know you want it, so I'll be sure to get that to you. I'll see if I can find that. Okay.
Yeah, I think when last year when the migration happened to all the new platform, I think a lot of the preparation material has been lost.
It has, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a shame because it really does. You know what I really liked it for is to get you like conditioned to sit for an exam that long.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was very much the way they did it before. It was just a PDF because it was a PDF at the very last. But the way that they did it before it was a PDF, it was like a real exam. And you even had it timed and it graded you and everything. It was really pretty cool. But yeah, it's not, I'm not finding it right away, but I'm pretty sure that I have it. That the practice exam. It was not the real one, don't. Not that one. But yeah, I'll see if I can locate that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Not finding it. I was doing some searches to see if I could find it.
Yeah, well, if it shows up, I'll add it to the description. Very good. Well,
thank you. Who accomplished it? Who was able to go through the whole thing successfully? Give me we can't do thumbs up in here, can we?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe a thumbs up emoji in the chat. Whoever accomplished.
Who got it completed? Philip, Suma, thumbs up. Okay, Suma did it. Good. So it was the version on yours. You just changed your runtime. Very good.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I changed that version or I downgraded the version, I was still not able to test it out in the secure config, but my Postman is coming back with response. So it's interesting.
That's interesting.
Because I was almost ready to upgrade to 724, but that will take time. So I found the fix for downgrading that version, and I was assuming that it should also let me test my connection, which it still fails. But the deployment worked, and Postman is coming back with that response.
Huh. That's really weird.
Yeah, I still have to do the deployment to Cloud Hub. I kind of got stuck there, but
Okay.
I'll wrap that up soon.
Okay. Sounds great.
Thank
Like
you.
I said, in 2 weeks, we'll do the environment for the config.yaml and for the secure property. They both work the same way. The mechanism, will work the same way, but it's just neat to see. And then we will also deploy a version directly into dev, but then we'll go on any point platform and replicate it being promoted to test and to prod and change the configuration files. So
That'd be awesome.
kind of a real world thing. If we had a pipeline, if Ryan's listening to this video, we need to get Ryan to make us a pipeline. Diane should do the pipeline, really, but at any rate, we could make it look really, really real world.
Definitely. That would be a game changer.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it.
All right. Sounds great. Oh, we got a visitor here.
If nobody else has any questions, I'm just going to announce, we already mentioned Ryan's in here next week. So this is what it will be on. He'll be coming in and he'll be presenting on the anatomy of a mule flow. So you all make sure you join us. Come back in next week. We'll be happy to have you. And again, thank you so much for coming out today and presenting. That was awesome. And I'm going to get this over on YouTube right now.
Thank you so much, RJ. Great work. And thank
you.
Thank you.